Hi, solving quadratic equation. There are 4 ways to solve quadratic equations. 1 is by factorization. 2, using formula. 3, by completing the square. 4, using graphs. Today we're going to use factorization. By factorizing, we get 2 factors when y is set to 0. We then set the 2 factors to 0 and we get their roots. And that's how you solve for quadratic equation by factorization. Solving quadratic equation by factorization. The first thing we need to do is write down the a, b, c. From the equation given, x squared minus 5x minus 14. We set that to 0. And a is 1. B is minus 5. And c is minus 14. We then need to find AC. AC is 1 times minus 14. And that is minus 14. So AC equals minus 14. And B equals minus 5. We then need to find 2 numbers that we can multiply to give minus 14. And 2 numbers that we can add to give minus 5. The 2 numbers we can multiply to give minus 14, we always start with 1 and 14. Well, 1 plus 14 is 15, so it's not good. We'll start with 2 and 7. 2 plus 7 is 9. But what about 2 and minus 7? 2 and minus 7 is minus 5. And 2 times minus 7 is minus 14. So in the top box on the left, where we have product means times, we put 2 and minus 7. In the bottom box, in the numerator of the bottom box, we put 2 and minus 7. We then have to divide the numerator of the bottom box by a, and a is 1. So we divide by a always. So a is 1 and 1. The bottom denominator is x, and therefore our factors will be 1x plus 2 from the numerator and 1x minus 7 from the numerator, and this equal to 0. But 1x equals x, and therefore our factors will be x plus 2, x minus 7 equal to 0. We then have to set the factors to 0. X plus 2 equal to 0. X minus 7 equal to 0. Take away 2 from both sides. X equals minus 2. And take away 7 from both sides. X equals, add 7 to both sides, 7. So the 2 factors are, or the roots from the 2 factors are x equals minus 2 and x equals 7. Those are our solutions. But do remember, not all quadratic equations can be factorized. For quadratic to be factorized, b squared minus 4ac must equal to p squared. P squared is what we call perfect square, such as 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared. If p squared minus 4ac is equal to p squared perfect square, then it's factorizable. If p squared minus 4ac is not equal to p squared, it is not factorizable. But in this case, because we're told to solve by factorization, most likely it is factorizable. Example 2. We're going to solve the quadratic equation by factorization. First, we factorize it and we set it to 0. Because y is set to 0, we can solve for x. First, we write a, b, c, which is 2, because this is 2x squared, and b is minus 5, and c is 3. We need to find AC. AC is 2 times 3, and that's 6. That's 6. We need two numbers we can multiply to get 6, and two numbers we can add to get minus 5. So if we start with 2 and 3, that can give us 6. 2 times 3 is 6. Because we want to add them together to get minus 5, we need to have minus 2 and minus 3. Minus 2 minus 3 will give us minus 5. So B will be minus 5, and C will be 6. In the top boxes, we put minus 2 and minus 3. In the bottom box numerator, we put minus 2 and minus 3. We then need to divide the bottom box numerator by A. But A equals 2 in this case, so 2 and 2. We can see that one of them can be simplified, so long as it's only one that we can simplify. So we can simplify minus 2 over 2 will become minus 1 over 1. 2 in 2, that's 1, and 2 in minus 2, that's minus 1. We still have minus 3 and 2. The bottom denominator is x, and now we can write our factors. 1x minus 1 and 2x minus 3. Those are our factors. So, but x, 1x equals x. Therefore, x minus 1 and 2x minus 3 all equal to 0. Now we're going to set each factor to 0. So x minus 1 equal to 0, 2x minus 3 equal to 0. Add, in the first factor, add 1 to both sides, x equals 1. In the second factor, add 3 to both sides, 2x equals 3, and then divide both sides by 2, x equals 3 over 2. So the roots or solutions x equals 1 and x equals 3 over 2. Example 3. 6x squared plus 8x minus 8 equal to 0. Solving by factorization. Before we solve by factorization, this equation has a common factor of 2. Because it has a common factor of 2, we can divide both sides by 2 because this equation is set to 0. So, dividing both sides by 2, we get 3x squared plus 4x minus 8 equal to 0. So with this equation, A is 3, B is 4, and C is minus 4. So C is minus 4. Now we need to find AC, which is 3 times minus 4, and that's minus 12. We know what b is. b equals 4. We need two numbers that we can multiply together to get minus 12 and divide and add together to get plus 4. 2 and 6. So minus 2 and 6 will give us this number. Minus 2 times 6 is minus 12. Minus 2 plus 6 is plus 4. So in the product side, product means times, in the box there, we put minus 2, 6. In the sum side, we put, in the numerator, we put minus 2 and 6. We then need to divide the denominator in the sum side by a. Divide the numerator by a. A equals 3. So you go 3, 3. One of these can be simplified. You only allow one simplification. So 2 and 1. 3 and 3, 1. 3 and 2, and 6, 2. And then we keep the other one, which is minus 2 and 3. The denominator of the bottom in the sum side is x. We then write our new factors. 3x minus 2 is one factor, and 1x plus 2 is another factor. 1x equals x. Therefore, our factors are 3x minus 2, x plus 2. And all that equal to 0. We now need to set each factor to 0. 3x minus 2 equal to 0. Add 2 to both sides. 3x equals 2. Divide both sides by 3. X equals 2 over 3. We need to set the second factor to 0. X plus 2 equals 0. Take away 2 from both sides. X equals minus 2. So our roots or solution are x equals 2 over 3 and x equals minus 2. Example 4. X squared minus 6x plus 9 equal to 0. In this case, a is 1, b is minus 6, and c is 9. We need to multiply AC and define AC, which is 1 times 9. So AC is 9. In this case, we need two numbers we can multiply together to get 9, and we can add them together to get minus 6. So the two numbers in mind are 3 and 3. But we need to stick minus in front of them because minus 3 times minus 3 is plus 9. Minus 3 plus minus 3 is minus 6. In the product side, we put minus 3. Minus 3. Product means times. In the sum side, we put minus 3 in the numerator and minus 3. We then divide the numerator of the sum side by a. And a is 1, so we divide by 1. The denominator side of the sum is x. That's x. And now we can write our factors. Now we can write our factors. So we write 1x minus 3 and 1x minus 3. Those are our factors. And therefore, that equals x minus 3, x minus 3 equal to 0. But 1x equals x. So we're going to set this factor to 0. X minus 3 equal to 0. Therefore, add 3 to both sides. X equals 3. X minus 3 equal to 0. Add 3 to both sides. X equals 3. So the roots or solutions are x equals 3, x equals 3.